It was great.
It was.
It was the reason why I came, because of you. Now, as an American, I think enough is enough. We're standing up and say, you know what, we're going to stop this now, because, this just can't continue. Jobs needs to stay in America. Taxpayers' money should be not used to fund jobs in other countries. We need to take care of ourselves first.
And President Trump has complained about jobs leaving, and here you have a Democratic Party in California, Democratic governor, Democratic legislature. What are they saying in relationship to President Trump?
That's a big problem for me. I voted Democratic all my life in California, and first time this year I actually voted Trump for president. You will know the reason why. That's why we're here. Jobs that Americans can't fill, or we don't have the expertise to fill those jobs. But now they're actually being used to cut costs. It's really about lowering the cost. And now, the most important is not only cost cutting, it's the quality of, healthcare and quality of education that's really critical here. The legal case is is really trying to put a stop to this, particularly, the fact that we are a very diverse workforce here. So we have, you can find men, women, people from different races and cultures working together. But our job are now replaced by the homogeneous workforce from another country. And I'm not against that per se, but it's a very young workforce. And they are not very well trained. They're very young. So there's a lot of risk at play here. So the lawsuit is really about, about national origin. So we felt that we were discriminated against.
What does it say about America, that American workers who are trained, high-tech workers, and they're being outsourced by the University of California, the management and regents? What is the future for American workers?
It's really a slap in the face, because I tell my kids, I worry about my kids all the time. Because I've been telling them, you should be in the STEM program. Be in the STEM program, computer science is great. You could be able to make great contribution to the country. But now I wonder, because they may come back and say, Dad, you don't have a job. They're going to ship all those jobs overseas now. So you don't tell me, go into the science program. This is not what we should be. As a university, we should never be preaching this.
What's your name?
My name is Kurt Ho. My kids are 12 and 7.
Can you spell your name?
Kurt, K-U-R-T, and the last name Ho, H-O.
And what is behind it? What, you think it's just profit? They say they have to be more profitable or save money. Do you believe that? Or what do you think is really behind it?
I think the reason that was given, it was about Obamacare made it a lot more harder to collect, so they were not getting the revenue that they needed. And this is the first step they have to try to cut costs. And another thing that was mentioned about higher education costs is going up, and the social pressure of that is really putting the university to try to respond to making cost-cutting measures.
Many of the regents are billionaires. Richard Blum, his wife is Diane Feinstein. I mean, it seems like they don't have a problem with the same problem you have as a worker here.
Yeah, I heard a lot of bad publicity about the regent getting a pay raise and stuff like that.
My name is Robert Harrison.
And you are a worker here?
Yes, well, I was. I was until about an hour ago.
And what happened here today?
Well, today I was, we were given a notice that our positions would be outsourced to India, to H-1B workers, and I was given a written notice that today would be my final day.
How long have you worked for the university?
Only 3 years here.
And what kind of work do you do?
I'm a telecommunications engineer.
So what do you think about the idea of the University of California, basically a public institution, public funds, state funds, basically telling you that they can't pay you a salary, they have to go to India to replace your work?
To be honest with you, it's a very hurtful thing to hear. It's a very hurtful thing to see. But it also brings out a great deal of anger in me, because the UC system has been paying its workers for many years, and it's just a matter of greed. That's my perception of the whole thing is greed. Nothing's enough for some of these higher ups, the management team here, and so I do know that they receive very hefty bonuses for this.
So you think they're actually going to get bonuses, these managers, for outsourcing your job?
I know for a fact they're getting bonuses. Is one thing that UC system has a problem with is the same thing that our president has a problem with, and that is keeping stuff in house. It always gets out. So we know for a fact that they've received bonuses, and at one point we saw paperwork that showed the amount of their bonuses. So
And how much were they?
I look, I can't say how much it was because it's nothing that I remembered because I know it wasn't coming to me. So what do I care?
What does it say about a public institution, though, where the managers are getting bonuses for getting rid of public workers?
Well, what it says for the UC system, a public entity, is that it's not so public. All right. We don't know everything that goes on behind closed doors. Nobody does, except for those that are behind those doors. So, we had a chance to sit in front of the Board of Regents at their last meeting over here at the community center, and we let them know. So there's about 8 of us that stood up and let them know how it impacted us personally, not just us, but also our patients, the doctors, the professors, even the students here that depend on us to a great deal. The patient privacy, their medical records are now open. They're in India, and as hard as it is to protect our privacy on a regular day-to-day basis, it's going to be even worse now because their records are in India. Look at the leak that happened during our presidential campaign. It's going to be even worse now.
And this issue of the regents, many of them are billionaires, multimillionaires. They're giving these big bonuses. You have Diane Feinstein, who's a senator in California. Her husband, Richard Blum, is a regent. Where are they coming from, these regents? I mean, they've been appointed by Jerry Brown, supposedly to represent the people of California and make this university a great university.
Well, the same thing that's happening at this university, appointments for the people to make it better, is the same thing that's happening in all of our politics. It was supposed to be for the people, by the people, but the people have no voice anymore. It's whoever's in office, they're the ones that has the voice, and we're going to do things their way, whether we like it or not. Students, their tuition is going to go up, no matter how much they protest, no matter how many benches they throw through windows, their tuition is going to go up.
What about the 130 billionaires in California? I mean, there's so much wealth here.
It's kind of like a modern day Robin Hood, where they steal from the poor and give to the rich, instead of the other way around. We're seeing that here in California. We're seeing it in America. The greed is overtaken. To quote the Bible, if I can, the love of money is the root of all evil. So people love money so much that they don't care who they hurt to get it, and it's hurting a lot of us. There's 78 workers that are being hurt right now because they are so greedy. Billionaires want more. Where does it stop? There's board members sitting on that Board of Regents, that 2 of them that also sit on the board for HCL, which is a conflict of interest. But do they care? No, they don't care. They don't fear it because they have not been made to pay where it hurts their pocket.
So you're saying there are financial conflicts of interest in the regents?
Yes, sir. This certainly is.
And what does this say? What does this say to young people who are trying to get an education? They say go into high tech. That's where the jobs are in this country. And I mean, it sounds like you're getting a very different message from what's happening here about the future for young people who are going to school to get an education.
Yeah, they are sending a different message. We have one of our workers whose daughter just started college to become an IT tech, and he's already telling his daughter, you might want to start changing your major because your job eventually will go to another person in another country under the H-1B loophole. So
this is something that President Trump has made an issue of.
He has, and I'm praying that he keeps his word, and he closes the loophole, that he brings jobs back to America, and for the ones who insist on doing it their way, that they get penalized for it.
So I mean, here you have in California, Democratic governor, Democratic legislature, a board of regents appointed by the Democrats, and yet they're using this loophole to get rid of U.S. California workers.
Yeah, it's a slap in our face. I've stopped supporting financially the Democratic Party because of this very thing, and I've written them several emails but none of them has bothered to reply to me, which lets me know that they just don't care. Even our Lieutenant Governor, who's going to be running for governor of California, Gavin Newsom, sits on the Board of Regents. I looked him in his face while I was talking at the Board of Regents. He, Janet Napolitano, they all had their heads down. They were writing, they were reading. It was like, we don't even care.
So they weren't even paying attention to the.
They were not paying attention to what we were saying. We just don't care.
Was this a done deal? I mean,
It was like a done deal.
Yeah.
Most definitely. One of the representatives from Washington, D.C. actually called Sam Howgood, our chancellor here, to let him know that they're watching and that he wanted him to consider reversing their decision. And Sam Howgood, according to the legislator, told him, mind your own business and stay out of it.
But this is federal money that you're getting.
Yes, it's federal money. My tax dollars are going into running this institution, and if there was a way, if it were possible for me, without me going to prison or whatever, I would quit paying my taxes. I have to ask President Trump about his loophole.
What does that say in California, though? I mean, where you got these Democrats who run the state really saying we don't care what happens to workers such as yourselves at the University of California.
What it says. And this message is going to get out that maybe California needs to look at changing our political view and who we support, because if you can't support Americans, who can you support?
The dollar?
Well, the dollar can't speak. Well, yes, it does. But, it can't work the way we work. It can't go around doing the jobs that we do.
And it sounds like it's harming and potentially destroying this great university.
It's destroying this great university, and it's also destroying California. It's not just the university, it's California, because PG&E is doing the same thing. There's other places that are doing the same thing. It's destroying America. It's destroying America. There should be something more important than the almighty dollar and the almighty penny, that you look at us, the hardworking Americans who helped build this country, and tell us that thanks for your sacrifice, but you're no longer needed. All right. All this is going to do is cause more homelessness. Families are going to be hungry. Children are not going to be able to attend college because the parents can't support it anymore. And if they do go, they're just going to raise the tuition and make it impossible for our children to go.
And they keep raising tuition. I mean, kids, are in debt thousands and thousands of dollars even before they start work.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, I have several children that graduated from college, and they're still paying. They're going to work to pay their tuition. They're living at home still because they're paying tuition, and that's what they're working for, is to pay their tuition. So it's ridiculous. It's gotten to a place where it's become almost unlivable here.